You're learning how to be movie stars.
All right, that's a coffee. It's a coffee talk.
Yeah.
It's a coffee talk.
It's a coffee talk.
We even got that little right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching the clips from the new webinar, and there's one part where we go, yeah, and then you go, yeah. It's pretty funny. They did a really good job.
They did. So, Craig, you're old.
It's true.
Usually old people have what?
Wisdom, usually. So, I guess this is over.
You like that transition?
Yeah.
You didn't see that coming.
Usually. If you really want to make your wife happy, introduce her to somebody as your current wife.
Oh, that's fun.
This is my current wife.
Oh, I'm doing that, dude.
Like, what?
Did you do that?
No, I've never done it.
Oh, I'm going to do it. You do it and I'll do it, and then we'll come back on one of these.
I'm a little scared of that.
And talk about it's going to be, it's not going to be a great reaction, but it's going to be funny.
I think that it would be fantastic to bring them on at some point. I don't know. I mean, it would be very difficult.
I think she would call me an idiot on the podcast.
Oh, I can agree with you for sure. She would most certainly call you an idiot. As would Chris. She'd call me. Yeah.
Let's talk about wisdom. Wisdom is not introducing your wife as my current wife. That is wisdom. Yeah.
That's why I have the fear in my eyes when I thought of actually doing that, because I have the wisdom of knowing that these things, while very funny to others and to myself, not so funny, to the person.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
When I was in my 20s, I did everything based on the premise of, well, if it's funny to everybody, I should do it. And there would be nothing stopping me. There'd be nothing stopping me.
And now you're married.
It
worked.
I think so. I think when you're that ridiculous, I think it's kind of attractive that it's like, wow, this person really doesn't care about anything.
I think that it's similar to, like, you watch those nature shows and like there's the male whatever bird always has all the feathers and it's all outrageous. It's kind of like that. Like, I think that in the courting phase, they like seeing all this, insanity, but then it's like, whoa. Okay. Now you see, now we're together. So all of that stuff that attracted me before now repulses me.
Yeah.
Like it switches.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah. And I didn't know that this was going to go, well, I mean, this is wisdom. It can be challenging in relationships, right? And then we'll tie this back into talking,
or we'll just do wisdom on a separate one.
Sure. Well, I mean, what I've learned, I think, and it's still most challenging, is how to take the work hat off, or the entrepreneurial hat off, where you're constantly solving problems, right? All day long. Do you ever solve problems?
Oh yeah.
Right. Like that's what we do. And ultimately, if we can hire people that can solve problems, that's even better, because then we don't have to solve all the problems. We just have to solve a couple problems, but that's also challenging. That's a problem to solve in and of itself. But
that's a hard hire. It's a harder hire.
It is, because that person is likely going to be an entrepreneur themselves. So we're taking,
and it's smoke and mirrors, right? Like, you don't know, like there's no, you like, it's hard to find, it's hard to weed out knowing that person is going to be a problem solver. Right? Sure.
Yeah. Well, and it's also smoke and mirrors solving problems, because you don't know the answer. You're just going with what you think. You run a quick percentages of it working out in your head real fast, and then you solve. I'm not afraid of making a mistake with the decision. I'll just okay, it doesn't need to be the right decision. But if they're not going to make the decision, I'll make the decision and we'll see what happens. Right. I mean,
Pivot.
you weigh it a little bit heavier depending on the cost of that, or the cost of the potential wrong decision. But
Right.
I mean, shit, we don't know everything.
No, definitely don't know
No,
everything.
in fact, quite the opposite. But taking that, this is some wisdom. Taking that approach at home, solving problems, is usually not well received, is what I'm learning. I mean, I'm coming up on 24 years of being married, which is, I can't even believe that's a thing. Like, it's insane. So
It's because you're
here
old.
we are.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. If you're old, you can, that's a
Time
possibility.
flies when you're old.
Yeah, time flies when you're old. So you get home and you have to take off problem solving hat. And what's interesting is me talking about my work is something that is not well received. However, I have to hear all about the other work, right? The work from Chris's work, constantly. And then, like, she'll present, oh, I hired somebody, blah, 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 blah. This is happening. And it's all the same stuff. Like, everything's the same stuff.
She doesn't listen to this one.
She's not ever going to listen to anything that we do. So
unless somebody
please,
texts her.
if you are listening, Chris, just turn it off. Okay. This is my wisdom to you, and I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm just saying that it's been my experience. If you listen to this, you're going to get
I'm
upset.
encouraging.
It's been, I just feel that you're not going to feel good about this. No, I'm just kidding. But what I'm learning is that when she says all of these things that happened at work, that I then want to say, well, I mean, it's obvious. You do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, move on. Right. Like and they're, in my opinion, easier scenarios to fix than some of the ones that we go through. I'm really digging a hole. However, that isn't what needs to happen, right? It's not fix. It's just like, I did it yesterday. She's talked about something with one of her people, and I said, boy, that sure must be challenging. You must feel really exhausted. I said that. And guess what? She looked at me and she said, I do. Thank you. And I'm just like, what? How could, like, if somebody said, you must feel really exhausted, whatever, to me, I'd be like, well, I mean, that's it. Like, what do you think what do you think we should do here? What do you think the best decision is? But it's like, it's interesting that it, and so anyway, as I babble along and I'm also thinking in the back of my head, like, what if she did listen to this?
Well, I'm thinking to myself that there are probably insurance dudettes out there that are thinking, I'm glad I'm not married to him, because if he said this stuff, he's pissing me off.
Really? I don't. If this is the case, then shoot an email over to emily@theidudes.com and she can hit the delete button.
I think where the heart, from what I hear, what I'm listening,
right? You're not taking a position in any direction.
This is not going to go over well, this whole conversation. But
why?
But what I heard that I would feel that somebody else would feel negatively about is when you compared your problems to the other problems, saying that yours are more difficult.
No, you know what? That's not true. Okay, I'll backpedal there. It's not true. I mean, whatever problems people have in front of them are probably the most important problems that there are for that person.
Right.
I mean,
for that person.
So for her problems are much more important and more challenging than my problems, and my problems for me are much more challenging than her problems. It's perspective, right? Anybody can come to anybody with their problems and challenges, and the person on the outside, I think, is going to have a fresher take on it because there's perspective.
True.
And that's why I should be able to just say, this is what you should do. However, that isn't what works. And I think that it's taken 24 years to learn that it just needs to be, she just wants empathy, and that's cool. I feel
Right.
like the conversation's unresolved. So for me, it feels like I'm not able to assist. And I guess that's where the frustration is. Like when I say, well, I would, this is how I'd approach that. Then, and I'm not trying to make it about me. I'm just trying not to have it tell her what to do. So it's challenging. I mean, it's just, the whole thing's challenging because and sometimes I'll say that I'm saying, so, do you want me to provide ideas, or do you just want me to say that's challenging? I don't know what to do, because sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes there is a desire to have perspective on it. I don't know.
Right.
I told you I don't know
Yeah.
everything. I know very far from
Moral
everything.
moral of this podcast is it is challenging being in marriage with somebody
Yeah.
that is not in the workplace, but probably less challenging than if they are in the workplace.
Oh, so you're
So be
saying that
careful.
your problems are easier than mine or harder? I don't know which one. Now I'm confused. So let me ask you.
Yeah,
Let's turn the tables. What is that? So the turns the whatever. So let's turn the tables. And
sure.
how does that? I mean, does any of that resonate with you? Have you had
Oh
any
yeah,
similar experiences?
100%. So yeah, that's the thing, man. I think in a relationship, the spouse probably wants to vent,
Mm-hmm.
and it's probably a better idea if you almost don't even need to listen what they say. This is that's bad advice actually.
No,
But
but
but I'm saying you almost don't need to listen to what they say, but you need to listen to how they feel. Say, man, that must stink to feel that. Like, I'm so sorry you feel that way. Like that
yeah.
must be difficult for you.
And how?
If you go that direction instead of like, yeah, the going to the problem, which
Well, you can't
guys
be
do.
looking at your email either way. Either you have to be present.
Yeah, that won't go over well.
Yeah. That I learned. I mean, that's like that. That's like 101 on this. That's you learn that pretty early.
It's but and you and I were actually talking about this like a couple weeks ago. Is that when when you're at work solving problems and stuff like that, and then you go home and a problem presents itself, no matter from who, for it's almost it's the amount of self will it takes to not say anything is incredible
Right.
because you're doing it all day, and it's like for you to not say it almost hurts because you would never not try to solve it
Right.
at work.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying over here. Exactly what you
Yeah.
just said.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
It is
So
crazy.
it's like with anything. I mean, you worked in the service industry, right? And I did
Sure.
when I was in school. I think that was 72 years ago. But when you work, and especially when you work late, like 2 a.m. is late at night or early in the morning, whatever you want to call it, right? When you get
Yes.
off of a bar shift where it's been slammed and you get home, are you going straight to sleep? You can't, right? You're all jacked up because you've been like going, 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 going.
I used to like get food on the way home,
Right.
eat it, and then tuck myself in right away
Force
and then
yourself to
try
go
to
to
go to
sleep.
bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd have
But
to
it's
get
hard.
full burst.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Oh, it was the worst. I mean, honestly, oh, that is one thing you asked me earlier. What am I grateful for? That is one thing I am truly grateful for is not having to sleep half of my night's sleep during the day. You just don't get
Yeah.
good sleep. You
Sleep
always
till
feel kind
noon.
of garbagey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the worst.
Well, you got some wisdom about that too. You may be getting old yourself, Mr. Jason.
Oh, well, I do have a full head of gray hair.
I do not. I do not.
You don't.
Nope.
Do you dye at all, or
Nope.
is it
I do
just the
not. Do
product?
not. Do not. It
Huh.
is. Um, yeah. If I don't put the hair pomade or whatever it is in there, then it will be a little bit lighter. Yeah.
Pomade.
Not quite as light as my pasty Grim Reaper skin, though. Well,
and let's
button it up. Let's close down the show. But before we do, pull up that cell phone of yours and here on the podcast you're listening to. Now, this is, of course, if you're not driving. Because if you're driving, then just say, hey. Well, I don't want to say it because then the computer's going to do it. Say, hey, it rhymes with.
Let's see if that works. Siri. Hey, Siri.
Yeah, see, it messes everything up. You got to be careful about that.
It just brought everything up. Or you can say, Alexa, what's the funniest joke you have?
She's got some really good ones. So pull up your podcast platform and it'll say follow or it'll say subscribe. Just gingerly take your finger and touch the phone right on that little spot where it says subscribe. And then boom, every day you're going to get a little notification. Monday, Coffee Talk. Tuesday, interview. Wednesday, what on Wednesday, Jason? Mr. Jason? Part 2 of the interview. Yeah. No, you don't have to whisper.
Why not?
Because I was just telling you. You need to say it.
Say what?
Part 2 of the interview.
Part 2 of the interview.
No, you don't whisper it.
What?
And then on Thursday, they called it Mixed Bag. Our guys over at HHM hacking.
I know what you guys are thinking.
And Friday,
that everything is a mixed bag with us.
True. Yeah, that's a true story. And then Friday is another Coffee Talk. And I think that on Saturday and Sunday, it's the YouTube festival. So there's all kinds of stuff. And if you haven't been to the YouTubes before, it's a movie place. You go in there and you can